Welcome to Lesson 6, Guide Better with Prompts. By now, you've learned what Gemini can do. But there's an important question. How do you consistently get better results? The difference between an okay response and an excellent one isn't always Gemini's capability. It's how you ask. In this lesson, you'll learn how to guide Gemini using two powerful techniques, role and context. Let's get started. You've become more comfortable using Gemini. You ask questions, receive answers, and sometimes the results are perfectly fine. But when you need professional quality work, fine may not be enough. The difference between an okay response and an excellent response often comes down to how you ask. You can improve your results by assigning Gemini a clear professional role, providing context about the audience and situation, and combining both for a more targeted output. The key is knowing when context is essential. Imagine you're working as a consultant on a client's marketing strategy. You need help drafting an email about changing priorities. You give Gemini a simple instruction. Write an email about changing our marketing focus from social media to email campaigns. Gemini can produce a correct email, but the result may sound bland and generic. It doesn't necessarily sound like it was written by a strategic consultant who understands the client, their priorities, or the business situation. The problem isn't that Gemini can't write the email. The problem is that the prompt didn't provide enough direction. So, what is really happening? The issue isn't necessarily Gemini's capability. You simply didn't tell Gemini who it should be or what the audience needs to hear. Two elements can immediately improve the response: role and context. Role tells Gemini what professional perspective or expertise to use. Context tells Gemini what situation it is responding to and what matters to the audience. Together, they give Gemini a much clearer direction. Let's see how the same task can produce very different answers depending on the role. Imagine the task is, explain to a client why their website launch is delayed by 48 hours. Now give Gemini three different roles. As a senior project manager, the response focuses on business impact, explaining the delay as a precaution that protects the client's brand experience. As a junior developer, the response focuses on technical details, such as a payment gateway issue and authentication debugging. And as a customer success manager, the response focuses on customer experience and reassurance. The task stays the same, only the role changes. And that changes the vocabulary, focus, tone, and priorities of the response. When you don't define a role, Gemini generally responds as a helpful but generic assistant. Think of a role as Gemini's professional identity. The role influences the vocabulary it uses. It determines whether the response should use technical or plain language. It shapes the tone, whether authoritative, collaborative, or empathetic. And it influences what aspects of the situation receive the most attention. So remember, the same question can receive dramatically different answers depending on the role you assign. Not all role assignments are equally useful. Consider this vague instruction. Act as someone who knows about marketing. This doesn't give Gemini much guidance about the expertise level or perspective you need. Now compare it with a specific instruction. Act as a senior marketing strategist who specializes in B2B SaaS companies. This tells Gemini much more. It defines the seniority, the professional role, and the area of specialization. The lesson is simple. The more specific the role, the clearer the expertise and perspective Gemini can use. Role is only one part of the equation. Context also changes how Gemini approaches the same task. Imagine the role is always a senior consultant, and the task is to write an email explaining a 2-week delay. Now, consider three different clients. A new, anxious client may need transparency and reassurance to build trust. A long-term client may respond better to a message connected to shared values and efficiency. An executive stakeholder may need a concise explanation focused on business impact. The role stays the same. The task stays the same. But the context changes, and so does the communication. Without context, Gemini has to make assumptions about what matters, and those assumptions may be wrong.
Context helps Gemini understand not just what information to use, but how to communicate it. Ask yourself 4 questions. Who is the audience? What do they value? What is the relationship? And what is at stake? For example, is your audience a long-term client or a new prospect? Do they care most about transparency, speed, or cost savings? Are they a trusted partner or a skeptical stakeholder? And is this a routine update or a crisis? The answers help Gemini create a much more appropriate response.
Now let's combine the 2 techniques. Role sets the expertise level and professional perspective. Context tailors that expertise to the specific situation. For example, instead of simply asking Gemini to write a marketing email, you can say, act as a senior marketing strategist with expertise in B2B conversion optimization. Draft an email to a client who prioritizes ROI, explaining the shift from social to email. They've expressed concern about lead quality. Notice how much direction this provides. Gemini now knows the professional role, the audience, the client's priority, the business issue, and the concern that needs to be addressed. The result can therefore be more professional, targeted, and connected to the client's actual priorities.
Context isn't always equally important. Some situations require it to produce an appropriate response. Here's a simple test. Ask yourself, what does Gemini need to know about the audience or situation to respond appropriately? If the answer isn't obvious from the task itself, add context. For example, act as an HR manager. Write an email declining a job candidate. That instruction identifies the role and task, but important context is still missing. The message needs to be respectful, empathetic, and legally careful. Those requirements may not be obvious without additional context. So before sending your prompt, pause and ask, what important information might Gemini be missing? Let's review the key lessons. First, role sets the expertise level and perspective. Second, specific role assignments are more effective than vague ones. Third, context explains what the audience cares about and what is at stake. And finally, combining role and context transforms generic responses into more targeted and professional communication. So when Gemini gives you a response that is only fine, don't immediately blame the tool. First, look at your prompt. Ask yourself, did I give Gemini the right role? Did I provide enough context? And did I clearly explain what the audience needs? You can now guide Gemini more effectively using role and context. But there's another important workplace challenge, dealing with large amounts of information. Long reports, multiple documents, articles, and large collections of content can take hours to review manually. In the next lesson, you'll learn how Gemini can help you work with large amounts of data without spending hours reading through everything yourself. Get ready to move from better prompting to smarter information handling. Up next, Lesson 7, work with large amounts of data. Thank you for completing Lesson 6. Remember, better prompts lead to better results. See you in Lesson 7.